Welcome, fellow strangers. Welcome, odd ones. Welcome to anyone who's ever felt like they don't quite fit, like their soul was cut from different cloth, like they arrived at the party wearing the wrong skin. Today we're entering what might be Disney's most radical theological territory, the spirituality of otherness. The idea of that what makes you strange might be what makes you sacred. That your exile might be your initiation, that your monster might be your mentor. We'll be guided by four of Disney's most beautiful outsiders. The Beast, whose curse makes him a monster until love reveals his humanity. Quasimodo, whose body is a cathedral of scars, housing a soul of pure beauty. Vanellope von Schweetz, whose glitch isn't a bug, it's her superpower. And Bruno, whose visions exile him, yet ultimately save his family. These characters aren't just misfits, they're mystics. Their otherness isn't a mistake to be corrected, but a mystery to be honored, a doorway to a different kind of seeing. In a world obsessed with fitting in, smoothing out, conforming, Disney has been building cathedrals for the crooked, hymns for the haunted, and scriptures for the strange. This episode is for anyone who's ever been told they're too much, too little, too loud, too quiet, too broken, too different. For anyone whose uniqueness has been called a problem instead of a prayer. Let's begin in a castle where a prince learns that his curse isn't his punishment, it's his path. We begin in a castle frozen in eternal winter, where roses wilt and a creature paces in shadows. The beast wasn't a born monster. He was made one, by his own cruelty, yes, but also by a curse that externalized his internal state. His transformation isn't just punishment, it's revelation. His beastly form shows him and the world what his beautiful human form concealed, a heart that needed breaking open. This is the first spiritual truth of otherness. Sometimes our monsterness is just our truth made visible. The beast's isolation isn't accidental, it's necessary. In his castle of shadows, he can't hide behind princehood, wealth, or beauty. He has to confront what he is. His otherness becomes his mirror. The beast teaches us what society calls a curse might be your catalyst. What looks like exile might be your hermitage. What feels like monstrousness might be your authenticity, waiting to be loved into being. Belle doesn't love him in spite of his beastliness. She sees through it. She recognizes the humanity trapped within. But here's the crucial spiritual shift. The beast must also learn to see himself through her eyes, to recognize that his monstrous form contains a beauty his princely form never did, the beauty of transformation. Seeing your curse as curriculum, asking, what is my otherness trying to teach me? How is my exile creating my empathy? What beauty is waiting in my brokenness? But what about those whose otherness isn't temporary, whose difference isn't a spell to be broken, but a body to be inhabited? Now we climb to the bell tower of Notre Dame, where a man lives among bells because the world below has told him he doesn't belong. Quasimodo wasn't cursed. He was born different. His body is a landscape of what society calls deformities. But Disney does something extraordinary. It doesn't ask us to pity him, it asks us to witness his holiness. Quasimodo's physical difference isn't portrayed as tragedy, but as sacred architecture. His hunched back, that's where he carries his compassion. His asymmetrical face, that's where God signed his masterpiece. His isolation in the bell tower, that's his sanctuary, not his prison. Quasimodo teaches us our scars aren't mistakes, they're altars, places where we've been broken up, open to the divine. Our differences aren't defects, they're divine fingerprints. Listen to his song, I am deformed and I am ugly, but then I am not ashamed. This isn't resignation, this is revelation. He's not saying he's okay with being called ugly. He's saying your ugliness is your category, not mine. My body is my cathedral, my temple. The bells don't just ring, they pray. And Quasimodo is their priest. His voice, considered grotesque by the world below, becomes sacred sound in the heights. turning your bell tower into a sanctuary, creating spaces, physical, emotional, spiritual, where your difference isn't tolerated but celebrated, where your strange voice becomes sacred song. But what about when otherness isn't physical but existential, when you don't fit the system itself? Now we enter the digital world of Sugar Rush, where a character's very code doesn't conform to the game's programming. Vanellope isn't just different, she's impossible. Her glitch means she shouldn't exist. She breaks the rules of her reality. The other races don't just exclude her, they deny her right to be. This is otherness at its most fundamental, ontological rebellion. Vanellope doesn't just challenge social norms, she challenges the laws of her universe. But here's Disney's radical insight. The glitch isn't the problem, the game is. Vanellope's difference isn't a bug, it's a feature the system can't recognize. Her glitch allows her to teleport, to move in ways the programmed characters can't imagine. Vanellope teaches us when you don't fit the system, maybe the system is wrong. When you're called broken, maybe you're ahead of the code. Your glitch might be your grace. The moment she embraces her glitch, I'm a what? I'm a glitch? Cool. Is one of Disney's most profound spiritual moments. It's the sacrament of self-acceptance. She doesn't fix her difference, she weaponizes it. She doesn't become normal. She reveals that normal was always too small. Weaponizing your weird. Not hiding your glitches, but racing with them. Not trying to debug your soul, but asking, what reality does my difference reveal that others can't see? But what about when otherness isn't just misunderstood, but feared as dangerous? Now to the mountains of Colombia, where a man lives inside the walls because his gift of sight showed things his family didn't want to see. Bruno isn't physically different. His otherness is metaphysical. He sees the future, and in a family obsessed with perfect presence, the future, with all its complexity, ambiguity, and potential pain, is heresy. Bruno's exile isn't imposed by outsiders, it's enforced by his own family. They don't just misunderstand him, they mislabel him. His visions aren't welcomed as gifts, they are feared as curses. He becomes the family's scapegoat, the convenient explanation for anything that goes wrong. Bruno teaches us sometimes the most painful otherness is within your own tribe. When the people who should love you most ask you to hide your magic to make them comfortable. But here's the spiritual twist. Bruno's exile inside the house is deeply symbolic. He's not cast out, he's woven into the walls. His visions, though feared, are actually what hold the family together. He sees the cracks before anyone else. His difference isn't destructive, it's diagnostic. When Mirabel finds him, she doesn't ask him to stop being Bruno. She asks him to be more Bruno, to use his gift to heal what's broken. We learn that building altars in the wall, finding ways to stay connected even when misunderstood, understanding that sometimes being the truth teller means living in the margins, that prophets often dwell in the architecture of denial. So what do these four outsiders offer us spiritually? What gifts does otherness bring? The beast gives us the gift of transformative love, the understanding that what we must love our monstrous parts into humanity, that redemption isn't about becoming someone else, but becoming more fully ourselves. Quasimodo gives us the gift of sacred perspective, the view from the bell tower, the understanding that sometimes you need to be above the crowd to hear the divine. Vanellope gives us the gift of reality breaking, the courage to glitch the system, to recognize that sometimes the truth, the power, does not lie in fitting in, but in breaking the game. Bruno gives us the gift of unwelcome truth, the courage to see what others deny, to speak visions even when they exile you. Your otherness isn't your cross to bear, it's your crown to wear. Your strangeness isn't a problem to solve, it's a perspective to offer. Your exile isn't your punishment, it's your redemption. So how do we live the spirituality of otherness? How do we turn our strange into sacred? Let's try these practices. Practice 1, the beast's mirror. Look at what you call your monstrous parts. Ask, how is this my teacher? What humanity does this reveal that my normal self hides? Practice 2. Quasimodo's bells. Find your bell tower, the place where your different voice becomes beautiful. Create daily sanctuary where you don't have to translate your soul for others. Practice 3. Vanellope's glitch. Identify one way you glitch the system, one way you naturally break the rules others follow. Celebrate it. Practice it deliberately. And practice 4. Bruno's vision. What uncomfortable truth do you see that others ignore? How can you share it with love rather than fear? Build your prophecy into your daily practice. And then practice 5, building the mosaic. Looking for others. Build communities not of sameness but of sacred diversity. Create spaces where different glories can shine together. Stop asking, how do I fit in? And start asking, how does my not fitting in serve the whole? Perhaps the deepest spiritual truth Disney reveals is this: otherness isn't isolation, it's initiation into a different kind of community. The beast finds belonging not by becoming normal, but by finding someone who sees his normality and his monstrous. Quasimodo finds family not in the streets of Paris, but among fellow outsiders, Esmeralda, Phoebus, even the gargoyles. Vanellope finds her place not by fixing her glitch, but by finding others who appreciate it. And Bruno finds home not by stopping his visions, but by finding someone who needs them. This is the communion of strangers, the church of the crooked, the congregation of the glitch, the family of the foresighted. Your otherness isn't your sentence to loneliness, it's your invitation to find your true self. We began with a question: what if your strangeness is your spirituality? The beast taught us that monsters are just humans in deep disguise, that we can be built of scar tissue, that our glitches are grace in digital form. Bruno taught us that the truth tellers often live in the walls. Your otherness isn't accidental, it's intentional, not a mistake in the manufacturing, but a signature in the masterpiece. Today I tell you, be weird. I tell you, embrace your strangeness. I sanctify your difference. May you wear your otherness not as a shame, but as a cloth of power. May your exile be your sanctuary. May your monster become your mentor. May your glitch become your superpower. You are not broken, you are particular, not defective but distinctive, not wrong but wondrous. Thank you for your strange, beautiful soul. Be the weird in the world.